you. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests. It's my pleasure, really an honor, to welcome all of you to the Sustainable Development Goals Pavilion, co-hosted by the United Nations and the Education Above All Foundation. I'm Michael Coker, and I'll be your moderator this afternoon. I'm the General Manager of the Aga Khan Foundation, and so very grateful to our hosts for inviting us to be part of this truly global event. Just 3 days ago, the SDG Pavilion was opened by Her Highness Sheikh Motza bint Nasser, the chairperson of the Education Above All Foundation, who officially launched the Scoring for the Goals campaign. And she called on the world to have increased unity and solidarity to achieve the SDGs by 2030. We are very honored to have with us today Qatar's Minister of Education and Higher Education, Her Excellency Ms. Buthaina bint Ali Al Jaber Al Nuaimi, representing Her Highness today. Thank you so much for being with us and for your ongoing leadership. We're all here to celebrate football. We all got a team. I'm hoping for the US to upset England tomorrow night. And football is important. But truly, nothing is more important than how we can work better together to achieve the 4th UN Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 4, which calls on us collectively to achieve equitable and accessible quality education for all by 2030. To this end, today and looking ahead, it must be, surely, education above all. It's fitting that we're in this classroom today. Look around. It harkens me back. It's a very particular space to discuss SDG 4. Her Highness Sheikh Motza bint Nasser partnered with the famous architect Zaha Hadid with the goal to provide more safe, multi-purpose, and sustainable spaces for forcibly displaced children to learn. Today we're in a space that's normally used as a classroom for displaced kids, similar to the ones being built by EAA, used by children and families in places like Turkey, Pakistan, and Syria. Fairly soon, children will be in these seats you're sitting in today. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome Her Excellency Mrs. Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados and the co-chair of the SDG Advocates, to help us set the scene for why I need to focus on SDG 4 now more than ever. Colleagues, Alex, let's please share the video message.
I've always loved the beauty and power of sports, but football specifically, it has the power to bring people together. For the most part, issues of race, of age, of ethnicity, of gender, political ideology, nationality, height, social status seem to fade away in the simple pursuit of placing a ball in a goal. People from all corners of the earth will unite to support teams, players, anthems, and flags. For me, that's what makes the game of football so beautiful today for us to look at. It exemplifies the best of what we can be as a human race, full of ambition, full of optimism, full of belief, and indeed full of effort while in the pursuit of a common goal. The pursuit of that common goal at its highest form is done so with a spirit of respect. A respect for differences, a respect for the opposition, and a respect for the supporters. In a very real sense, these values are completely in line with those of the Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs seek to ensure that every single society focuses on ensuring that the quality of the human experience and the respect for our planet is at the center of a nation's policies and initiatives, and indeed in the consciousness of our people. Whether it is the pursuit of high quality and easily accessible education for all, pursuit of sustainable energy usage, or indeed the dispensing of equitable justice, fundamentally, we know that the SDGs are our best guide to shaping the best possible life for our people. Again, much like with football, at the simplest, there is just pure joy in the simple movement of feet and the kicking of a ball. There is also great simplicity, my friends, in the SDGs, where without complexity, the goal is simply to treat people with dignity and to treat our planet well. So simple and yet so beautiful. Friends, now more than ever, we need to focus on achieving the shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and into the future. I truly believe that the key to unlocking this, reaching our SDG targets, lies with SDG 4, which is that of quality education. for in so doing, we expand significantly the numbers who are capable of carrying the weight to help us reach the other SDGs. Just like for footballers, training must translate to results on match day. As policymakers, our talks have to result in action. And we can only score if we shoot. The time to act, my friends, is now. And in so doing, that we bring a definable difference to each and every one of those children whose lives will be influenced by access to education, especially after the last 2.5 years, where our children pursued a very, very different reality as a result of the COVID pandemic. We believe that we can reset, recalibrate, and ensure that our children are the beneficiary of the best possible education so that they too may bring peace, progress, and prosperity for all.
Thank you. An extremely powerful message. Only 2 months ago, the UN Secretary General hosted the first ever Transforming Education Summit at the UN General Assembly in New York. During this occasion, the world's heads of state, both Portugal and Ghana, were recognized as leaders in accelerating progress for SDG 4. I now have the distinct pleasure to welcome to the stage His Excellency Mr. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the President of Portugal, and with him His Excellency Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana. First, let me welcome again and thank Your Excellencies for being with us today on such an exciting occasion. It really is an honor to be with you both. I suspect Your Excellencies might be aware there's a certain football match to start in about an hour. So we will endeavor to be efficient with our time. I don't think we have any extra time allowed this afternoon. Let's begin with Portugal. President Marcelo, in 2020 at the Global Education Meeting, you said a quote that I remembered, committed to memory: education is the beginning and the end of everything in our collective lives. Please, how does this statement relate to what we're facing today throughout the world's education systems?
Well, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank... Yes. This is I'm sorry. I'd like to thank Qatar Foundation, Nagakam Foundation. Thank you, Minister, for your invitation. Very honorable and kind invitation. Then it's a pleasure and an honor to be with one of the senators of the world. He knows everything about everything, but he's dangerous. We are in the warming for a great match, and I don't know why I'm anxious. I'm nervous when I look at him. I didn't sleep well this night. So, talking about education. I'm a professor, you know, for 50 years. I started 50 years ago. And there's President of the Republic, and there's, I forgot to say a word. To the Vice President of Costa Rica, to the First Lady of Rwanda, to the President of Liberia, and so on, so on. Well, thank you. And to the Prime Minister of Barbados. There you are. She vanished. Well, so I would say that, in a sense, as professor, not only as President of the Republic, and comparing with a soccer team, we need to have at the same time freedom, the freedom of Cristiano Ronaldo, the freedom of other very good players, of each one of them, to innovate scientifically, technologically, to improve, and not only individually but collectively. It's a collective goal altogether. And this is so important, so important, but also cohesion. It's a team, social cohesion. So this goal, SDG 4, means at the same time we must have freedom, liberty for each one of them, and for all of them. Of course, here we have just men soccer teams. But for instance, in Portugal, the majority of the students in higher education are women. The majority of PhDs are women. We are above the average rate in Europe. We are leading it, and that's so important. But then social cohesion is much more than that. It's including everyone, including the poor, and we still have really too many poor citizens, including the migrants. Migrations are really a reality. And concerning Europe and other continents are a strong and very important reality, including people with different social, economic, political ideas, even with different orientations. We know that each country has its own way of thinking, but even sexual and gender orientation. So all the different goals, thinking of 2030, must be put together. And having left the period, and I'm starting to answer your second or third question, I don't know. I was told the questions before. And we are living a period of pandemic. It was a very, very depressive period, this one. And with the social, economic, financial effects we know. And now the war, with the collateral effects that are really very, very damaging effects. Inflation. And then we must, living this period and not yet living it completely, we must go on playing in those two main objectives. Never forgetting that if you want to address on education, the main idea, the key idea of a sustainable development, we must have education for the digital revolution. And we are very good at it, the Portuguese, with Web Summit, with so many unicorns, so many startups. It's quite a revolution. The second revolution is the energetic revolution. There are countries that don't have apparently that need, but we decide to anticipate, and we must speak of it ever since the first class in the system, in the scholar system. We have 60% of our energy coming from the renewables. We'll be, in a couple of years, in the 80% of renewables. I mean, even those that can afford with oil and with gas to be at ease for the next future, if you want sustainable development, you must educate on digital revolution, on energetic revolution, and at the same time, invest much more on higher education, on R&D, not just R, not just research, but research with development, connected with the social economic tissue. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. It's just pure research. And at the same time, we must not forget the children and the youngsters that are not at school. Everyone must be at school. The goal says exceeding education. And access to education is still a problem everywhere. Because with crisis, wealthier become wealthier and poor become poor. And so, it's very important to bet and invest on higher education to change scientifically and technologically quicker. But at the same time, never forget those that cannot afford to have that education. And never, never forget that this is what we call sometimes human rights. Human rights are social rights, economic rights, political rights, but also personal rights. And that's so important. The right of access to education is vital. Is vital. That makes a difference. When we speak of a quality and inclusive education, we speak of the future, of a long-term, not just a medium-term, a long-term vision. Well, so answered all your three questions altogether. As a soccer team, each one being very good individually and free to be that way, having a collective cohesion, and being open to everyone. And let me end with the example of Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo was very poor, very, very poor. He came from an island in the middle of the Atlantic. So he just started 2 years. Finally, he ended studying 4. But when he started playing in Lisbon and then directly to Manchester United with Alex Ferguson, he had no studies at all. He did his studies while he started playing. So you can become a genius, you can become a great player, but you cannot miss fundamental and basic education, and you should have the opportunity of being a great player, but also someone with conditions to improve your life elsewhere.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. And now, please, Your Excellency from Ghana. Mr. President, in 2021, you became a champion for global financing of education, together with the Global Partnership for Education, GP. This was a profoundly significant step. Yet, as you've articulated before, money by itself does not solve all the problems. Please, sir, how do we ensure that alongside increased funding, we also address the ongoing challenges of equity and inclusion in education?
So, Moderator, first of all, thank you very much. Have to express my gratitude to Sheikh Nasser bin Moza and the Education Above All Foundation and the UN for inviting me to participate in this colloquium. It's an excellent idea to put this side by side with the football, because as Mia Motley so eloquently said, there's so many linkages between what happens in football and what we're trying to do. Because, like her, I think that the theme you have chosen is the theme of all themes: education above all, as the way to address issues of equity and progress in the world. Education has to be at the center of it. And I think that in so saying, and I'm very lucky that my co-panelist is the president of the country who first sent people to my countries nearly 600 years ago. The Portuguese were the first to come to Ghana. And I think it's appropriate that today we're meeting them in the World Cup, which will be the first time that has happened since that time. I will see what progress we've made in Ghana in that period. But also in doing so, to have the First Lady of Rwanda, the Vice President of Costa Rica here with us. The view that we have taken in Ghana is that apart from the issue of funding, and as you quite rightly said, funding cannot be the end of it, is that there are certain other matters that have to go along. We're talking about reforms of policy. We're talking about expansion of infrastructure. We're talking about targeting particular initiatives in the world of education. And that has been the policy of my government in Ghana in the last 5 years. Expanding access, and at the same time trying to improve the quality. And the expanding access has been a matter of policy. Before I came into office, every year for the last 10 years, 100,000 young Ghanaians were unable to transition from junior high school to senior high school because of money. They didn't have the money to pay for secondary education. So over a period of 10 years, 1 million young Ghanaians were unable to access secondary education, and through that, obviously, to tertiary education because of money. I took the view that that was an unacceptable and unsustainable vision for our country, that so many young people drop out of school at such a young age, and that the only way we could address this matter was by ensuring that secondary education in our public schools became free. So that is the policy of my government. It was a matter which I campaigned on. There was a lot of controversy about it. But in the end, the good sense of the Ghanaian people allowed us to be able to put this policy in place. Its impact has been dramatic. Over the course of the last 5 years, we have more than doubled the number of people who go to secondary school in Ghana. So not only has the access been obviously expanded, but fortunately as well, as a result of other policy reforms, the quality has also improved dramatically, whether in integrated science, whether in English, whether in mathematics, these core subjects. There's been a significant enhancement of the quality of the results of people. So that the investments that have been made to make sure that we address access and address quality are paying off on the ground. Alongside it, also are reforms about teacher education. Because at the heart of education, of course, is the teacher. And we've taken the view that we must find a way of professionalizing the education by professionalizing the profession of teachers. From now, everybody who teaches in senior high school in Ghana is going to have to be a licensed teacher. They're going to have to take an exam and pass the exam and be licensed before they can go into the classroom. So these are the basket of reforms that have taken place in Ghana in the last 5 years to enhance, as I say, not just access, but also quality. And the results that we're getting show quite clearly that it is beginning to pay results. And I think it's extremely important that the concepts of both access and quality be taken right through the educational ladder. Because at the end of the day, transition from secondary education to tertiary education is also equally significant and important. I mean, Ghana, the tertiary enrollment ratio is still relatively low in terms of the people who, of the educable population who actually go to tertiary education. But we know that the transformation of our country will not take place unless we have this hardcore core group of people who have had the education, especially in the new sciences. So TVET education, STEM education are now playing a central role in educational policy in Ghana because the new technologies, the new knowledges, the new sciences that are now dominating our world, the digital revolution that the Portuguese president is talking about, have to be at the center of the considerations of education for everybody. So, yes, education above all. I'm a full subscriber to that view. And so far, the policies of my government, of course, we have the difficulties, the economic challenges that all the countries in the world are having to. But we're taking the view that no matter the challenges, the thrust of our educational policy cannot be stalled and cannot abide the economic challenges. They have to continue to go on. We made sure that even at the height of COVID, our schools were kept open. Ghanaian schools closed for 2 or 3 months maximum. But we made sure that the young people continue to go to school, all with the safety restrictions that were put in place because of this fundamental commitment to making sure that education is the way to the future of our country.
Thank you. Extremely inspiring, Mr. President. Thank you. And now we're going to go to the last question, and it's a question for you both. We are on the clock, and I have a feeling that if I go over, I might get red carded by our hosts today. Your Excellencies, and President Marcelo, I'll begin with you. What does 2030 look like to you if we have truly scored the goal for SDG 4, please?
Just one goal?
We need more than one
enough.
goal.
It could be enough against Ghana. Well, they're dangerous. No, I would say 3 at least. Otherwise, 1 is not enough. Well, I would say first would be to have, in full speed, the 12 years of free education we have already with higher quality, even a higher quality, and adjustment to digital revolution, energetic revolution, and the knowledge of reality, a global vision so needed today, and then a connection with not just a single profession, but with the reality of the social and economic issue. One goal. Second is the one of improving what we have in high school. We have in high school 60% of those belonging to the generation that corresponds to the access to high school. We must improve it till we get 80%. And third, that's very important, to develop R&D, research and development, so that those that have those degrees in junior and senior high school, can circulate anywhere in the world, not just in Europe, where it is much easier, anywhere in the world. We must not forget we have the community of Portuguese-speaking countries, freely, but with a collective conscience that is so important. Never forgetting that this goal is a social goal. As President Nana said, it's a social collective goal, so it's something where we are all accountable, responsible for. With these 3 goals, I think we could win today's march.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr.
2 of us
President,
can't
please.
win. 2 of us can't win. Somebody has to lose.
Please. Take
Or
us
perhaps it
home.
may be even a draw. You never know. No, let me just make briefly 2 comments. One, I think we should all be fully aware that at the present rate of development, the 2030 SDG goals are not going to be met. It's important that we speak the truth to each other. As things are progressing now, we will not make the 2030 deadline for the realization of the 17 goals. And there's therefore a need, first of all, to scale up and accelerate action on the SDGs, and necessarily, of course, also find the funding to finance its growth. But whatever be the case, that the deadline is important, because I think without deadlines, it's difficult to focus on action. But it is extremely important that we recognize the absolute necessity of accelerating the implementation of each one of us individually and collectively to work. Because the SDGs, what are they? They are a blueprint for a better world. They're a blueprint for a more equitable world. There's a blueprint for a world where children, whether women or men, are treated equally with the same dignity and the same respect, that they have access to the same tools of learning, they have access to the same distribution of the social product. And education in this has such a central role to play. Ghana, just as everywhere else in the world, the majority of people in our country are women. 51% of the Ghanaian population are women. And yet, still up till today, access of women to the educational system is still inferior to that of men. Fortunately, in expanding the access, women are taking more advantage than men, which is very encouraging And it is also equitable because they are more. Then the more that they are motivated, the better it is for all of us.
Good.
So we come back always to this central theme of the significance of education, especially if it is going to allow us to be able to attain the 2030 deadline. My own thing is Portuguese president, first lady, the vice president of Costa Rica, all of us who are the policy makers of this generation, we have to step up our action, we have to step up our commitment so that we have a realistic chance of attaining this blueprint.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
See. On behalf of the United Nations, the Education Above All Foundation, all of you gathered in the room, and the community around the world, and children especially, we would like to thank you both sincerely and congratulate you for your inspired leadership in achieving SDGB by 2030. Please. And with that, please, we'd like to invite you for a photo opportunity, which is just, I believe, here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank Okay. Thank you again, everyone. Let's play some football.